We are going to bind off our knitting so that we can now remove the knitting off of the loom. You can't just simply pull these loops off the pegs. If you do, all of your knitting will just come undone. You will just, it'll unravel as soon as these loops are not on the pegs. So in order for us to do the knitting that we have thus far, we've been doing an E loop, which means we have been wrapping our loops and coming up from behind and wrapping around each peg. For binding off, we're going to do something different. We're going to actually come from the front. So at the point that your last knit was, and at the point that you have your yarn, you're going to come from the front and you're going to pull the loop over the yarn. You're then going to go to the second peg, and again you're going to pull the loop over the yarn. You're going to then take that loop and place it on the one you did before. You're going to knit that yarn. You are then going to remove the loop over to the next peg. I'm going to do that again. I'm going to pull my yarn over. I'm going to remove that one and put it on the previous one. I'm also using my hands, as you can see. I'm going to knit that one, and then I'm going to move it forward over one. Yarn forward, knit over that one, pull it off to the previous loop, tighten it a little bit, not too much, knit that one and move it forward. Again, yarn forward, pull your yarn over, remove it from the peg and put it on the previous peg, knit that one and move the yarn forward, making sure you don't drop any of these stitches while you do it. And you are finishing that edge. This edge is now finished. It will not unravel. So again, knit, pull that loop to the previous peg, knit that peg, remove the loop and move it forward. Sometimes I need a little extra help with my hands. So I'm going to come around. I'm going to again yarn in the front, knit. This one I'm going to have to lengthen my yarn a little bit to go to this back peg. Make sure I don't drop anything. Knit this one and bring that loop forward. And you're going to continue to do this all the way around. Do not skip any of those steps as you do this. If you skip any of these steps, you will end up with a run. So I've now come to the end, and I am going to cut my yarn, because as you pull this loop off of here, you still have to knot it. It's still not finished, so you can pull it off. Make sure that there's still a loop here. And I'm going to take my knitting needle and I'm going to thread my yarn through the eye of this needle. It'll take more than one attempt because the eye is almost too small for my yarn. So I'm going to have to try more than once to get it in here, but there it is. And be sure to knot this last loop. And there's a little bit of a miss between these two, and you can go ahead and close it, and I wouldn't close it very tightly, but I'm going to add a loop to this last piece so that I now have a completely finished edge. This is not going to ravel. This thread end, you're going to go behind here, and I'm going to just, and what I want to do is I want to follow the design that's here already. So I'm going to go along this V, and I'm going to just follow this V that you see here, 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 here. So I'm going to go up and down, and you don't have to go very far, but basically you're now hiding your tail into the knit, and you still want to then give it a little bit of a knot before you cut it. So I'm going to knot it. I've got a knot up here. I've hidden it for a certain distance. I'm still going to go ahead and put another little knot just to be sure that I'm not going to come unraveled in the wash. I'm going to pull it through a couple more times, and then I'm going to trim it. And as you adjust and pull, you make sure that there's nothing coming out and poking out. So that is a finished edge on your knit.